This is Scott Reynolds, executive producer and writer for Dexter, Dexter Original Sin, Dexter Resurrection. This is the Dissecting Dexter podcast, my personal favorite Dexter podcast. I hope you enjoy it. Side note, Gareth is named after Gareth.
Yeah. I didn't have the guts to ask, but that's the best news I've had. Thank you.
Yeah, I was like,
that's put a big smile on my face.
When we figured the character out, they were like, what should we name him? And I was like, how about Gareth? And they were like, you mean like from the Saturday Night Live sketch guys? I was like, no, the podcast.
Oh, that's fantastic. Thank you.
There you go.
Hey everyone, and welcome back to Dissecting Dexter. I'm Gareth, your host. I did not have any trouble getting a ride share tonight, but I am proud to present the internet's longest running Dexter podcast, broadcasting from here in Yorkshire, England since 2010. We are here to talk Dexter Resurrection, and we'll be here all summer to give you what I hope is pretty thorough coverage of the episodes, plot developments and characters. And we do it spoiler-free. I don't seek out spoilers. I don't watch the coming next on Dexter previews. I try to be as clear as possible going into each episode. So, how are you all doing? Enjoying this amazing summer of Dexter bounty? I am. I've not heard a bad word about this series. Fan reception is off the scale. Viewer numbers are great. It's all good. All right, let's not waste time. We've got lots to talk about this week, and I have a very special guest to do it with me. I'm here with writer and executive producer Scott Reynolds, fresh from a weekend in San Diego. Hi, Scott. Welcome.
Hey, thanks for having me on, Gareth. This is great. Gareth, how'd you like that, huh?
I like it a lot. Obviously, any coincidence with characters living or dead may be purely coincidental.
Yeah, I don't think you're a sick ass serial killer, but I don't know. You know what I mean? I don't know. It could be.
You haven't seen my high school yearbook.
Yeah, most likely.
Living your best life at the moment. I mean, you must be pinching yourself with all that's going on in the Dexter world.
Oh yeah, it's been that phone call that Michael made to Clyde after making a music video was so exciting, and I could never have thought that it would continue on this way. Between that Trinity, the Dexter Trinity show that we've written, like all 10 episodes of that, and then Dexter Original Sin, being able to go back in the past and talk about 20-year-old Dexter has been incredibly exciting, and being able to write about live Harry has been like kind of a revelation for us, because so much of the time he's been a scold, right? He's been a, what are you doing, Dexter? Hey, you shouldn't do that, and we get to bounce off of that Harry that's played by Christian Slater in this show, where Harry's a lot more, especially this episode, where Harry's a lot more like a partner, a detective, a peer, a friend, not just a scold. Yeah. And then Dexter Resurrection, the ultimate of, I think I want to come back. Like, yes. You think there's a way you can bring me back from the dead? And I was like, Michael Myers has done it. Freddy has done, you name it, they've done it. We can do it.
Yeah.
What's funny is one of the when they did all the testing about would people believe that Michael could come or Dexter could come back from the dead, not from being shot. The questionnaires came back, people saying, I find it harder to believe that Dexter could be dead.
Oh, well, that makes your job easier. Yeah. They'll swallow whatever we give them. Easy life. If only it were that easy. But obviously a lot has happened since we last spoke, which was after episode 9 in New Blood, which of course was a much loved episode, which must have really warmed your heart. So obviously New Blood ended. Yeah, and rightly so. Late winter 2022, wasn't it? And then that summer, I caught something on the British lunchtime news. David Nevins was at a London media event, and I was only sort of half listening to it, and he mentioned Dexter, and my ears pricked up, and I hit rewind, and he said that there's development work on a Dexter sequel, a New Blood sequel.
Yeah.
Whoa, hang on a minute. So I did an emergency podcast with one of my listeners, Nick, because we had to
Nick
talk
Henderson?
about it.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, you've met him.
Good guy. Yeah, good guy.
Yeah, he is top guy. January 2023, because we didn't hear anything else. And then there was the merge between Paramount and Showtime, and they talked about focusing on the strongest properties. So of course, obviously. And then it was a month later, there was an announcement that there was a straight to series order for a Dexter origin show. So fantastic, new Dexter, and developments on a New Blood sequel following Harrison at the time.
Yep,
and
we wrote that
also
too.
exploring. Yeah. All right, a whole series without Dexter.
Yeah, because Dexter was dead.
Yeah.
It was and it was good. Dexter Resurrection is better.
Yeah.
Thank God. Yeah.
Yeah. I wonder, are there any bits that you've lifted from that Harrison story into this?
The inciting incident was in both.
Okay.
The
Right.
Harrison working at a hotel, living in a hotel, and killing somebody.
Okay.
And then it was much more of a journey of like, is he a killer or is he not? Is he like his dad or is he not? Because you can read it either way. The end of New Blood, you could read it like when Dexter says, "You did good." Does that mean you did good by putting me down, or you did good by following the code? We wanted to feel like Harrison could go either way. And again, we did the same thing here. Which way is Harrison going to go? And until in that first episode, until Harrison throws up, and because of the song choices that we had during that thing, it feels like Harrison is a big bad wolf, and he's making bad decisions like the Stroke song, but he looks like a pro, and then he throws up, and then it makes you go, oh, maybe it's not all. I mean, you were talking about this on the podcast.
Yeah. And of course he was looking a bit green in episode 9 in New Blood when Dexter he seemed visibly to recoil from the reality of what his dad was doing.
Well, yes and no. It was, if you watch it again, you'll see it's when the blood starts coming toward his feet and he flashes to his past that it starts to, traumatize him and he has to get out of there. It isn't necessarily that Clancy Brown. I mean, it's a little jarring the way that Dad's like, hey, I chop it up in 9 pieces. And it's real easy. It's like making lasagna. But he was, in our heads, he was kind of standing his ground, and it was like, whoa, this is a lot. But, Kurt deserved it, with this great cloud of witnesses around him, with all, all the dead women. But the blood coming toward his feet, flashing back to when he was a little baby, and the blood coming toward him, put a whammy on him.
Yeah, and then of course it was the killing of Logan that was a watershed moment for him, wasn't it? And the killing of an innocent that demonstrated Harrison has a better functioning moral compass. And that's obviously something that's continuing to be explored in Resurrection, and obviously we're watching with great fascination to see how that's going to play out, and obviously we'll dig into that a bit as we talk about the episode. So it sounds like you were extraordinarily busy at the typewriter.
Between the writer
time.
rooms, we had Original Sin and Resurrection and Trinity all sort of like overlapping each other. With my writing rooms, Clyde and I working with the writing rooms like that. But it's fun, the thing is, I just love Dexter. I love the world. I love the stories. I've always had this fascination with like people who think that they're a piece of shit, that they're evil, that they're messed up. But we as viewers kind of go, yeah, there is that, like Doak said, that kernel of good, we can see something, and we see them fighting against what they think is their destiny, right?
Yeah.
Hellboy is a big version of that for me, right? Hellstrom, son of Satan in the Marvel comic book universe is that sort of a thing. Ghost Rider, all these sort of stories, they hit me good, I love it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's your jam. So the season so far has been great. Speaking for myself and listeners, I don't know if you've been hearing all the podcasts, but we've been loving it. It feels so fresh yet familiar at the same time.
Yeah.
David Zayas in interviews referred to this fertile ground that the show can explore, and I love that metaphor because it seems so appropriate. Where the show could go, the possibilities are enormous. And I also adore how enthusiastic you all are, and that's coming over in spades right now talking to you, the vibe from all of you, and most notably Michael as the face of the show. It's been infectious, and I said earlier in the season that I've not seen Michael as amped promoting a season of Dexter since I don't know when. And that speaks volumes perhaps for what he thinks of this series and what we're going to see, that he knows we're in for a ride.
Yeah, I mean, we worked closely with him. He's part of the process, pitching the show to him, and letting him read outlines and scripts, and he gives us his thoughts. Because as much as Clyde and I feel like we really get the DNA of Dexter, Michael really gets the DNA of Dexter.
Yeah.
And he, yeah, I have not seen him this. He's just been happy. He's been giddy, like at Comic-Con. He just had a blast,
Yeah.
stepping out there and talking with everybody, and even like playing Nintendo games with the Rizzler at Comic-Con. Like he had a good time.
Yeah.
Because he's
Excellent.
proud. I know he's very proud of what has been created, and feels invigorated by this journey that Dexter is on, both with his
Yeah.
son and with these other serial killers. How fun is it to match wits with Peter Dinklage and Uma Thurman and Kristen Ritter and Eric Stonestreet, who's like hilarious as Al. It's gonna shock you in the future. And then of course David S.
Yeah.
Malchin and Neil Patrick Harris. Like it's
Oh,
every day during this episode 4, everyone just like hung out with each other in between takes, and it was just, yeah, it was glorious. I
yeah.
haven't had that experience in a long time, where it didn't feel like work, where people looked forward to every day.
Yeah. That's how it should be.
Yeah.
So you guys obviously had to write yourselves out of a corner in Iron Lake, with Angela and Logan being the elephants in the room. It was a tough job, and obviously you just had to rip the Band-Aid off. Honestly, I sympathize. While explaining how Dexter survived was one thing, those other complications I think made your job a lot harder. I think on balance, from my own perspective and from what listeners have said, I think we understand why Angela gave him a pass and why she would leave Iron Lake. All that stuff happening on her watch, her position as police chief was untenable. And
also that when she walked down and saw all those dead girls, and she believed something was happening, and there's like 40 dead girls down there, and girls that she's been searching for, and then her best friend to top it all off. And if Dexter hadn't have been here, Kirk Caldwell would have kept doing it. It could have been her daughter next, for all she knew. And so that, I think that argument that Dexter had when he was trying to convince her that if it were true that I were the Bay Harbor Butcher, maybe what I do is a good thing, and it's hard for her in that space to not be able to see that.
It's something that we as viewers have to wrestle with.
Yeah. Because we want him to keep going.
Yeah.
But also do I? Yeah, I do. No, it's okay.
We're all sickos, but or are we? Oh, but that's the fun of it, isn't it? It's that grey area, that grey moral area. The Logan situation, how the events of his death ended up on record, that was harder for me to get past, and other people as well. I think Iron Lake PD perhaps don't come out of this smelling of roses in terms of their investigation skills, and maybe that's what it boils down to, is it just wasn't well investigated.
And he did
Teddy,
shoot at Dexter first.
he did.
He shot at an unarmed man.
Yeah, yeah.
And what are you supposed to do when you are being shot at?
Mm.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah. Do you have a right to defend yourself?
especially when you're like locked inside of a cell. So, and you got to remember, it was like over the course of 10 weeks, a lot could have happened, and a lot of people didn't think he was going to come back to life anyway, and they just wanted to wrap it all up. And yes, that said, we did sprint because we were so excited about where this story goes. You know, I think people would not have enjoyed this show if it had been 4 weeks of wrapping up what happens in Iron Lake and a court case.
Absolutely.
And also, you know, here in the American justice system, like the DA would have to decide there is a case here that he wants to bring to court. And it's hard to bring a case to court when the case starts with a police officer shot at an unarmed man in a cell.
Yeah.
Who wants to do that case, you know?
When there's no witnesses.
All they have is like the actual. So,
and then Dexter's word against the dead man's.
And Dexter had, like, you know, GSR residue on the side of his face to prove that thing was that close. And you know, when they checked out Dexter as he was unconscious. And anyway, moving on. Yes.
So we are talking about Dexter Resurrection, season 1, episode 4. Call Me Red, original air date the 25th of July 2025, written by Alexandra Franklin and Mark Mazinski, who both wrote for New Blood, and directed by Monica Raymond. So
DP'd by Radium too. Don't forget that guy, because that episode looks gorgeous.
It
Radium
does.
Chung.
Yeah. Oh, good shout out. Yeah, I mean the whole season's been looking great, very cinematic. So we rejoin Dexter in Ronnie Schmidt's apartment. He does a little bit of a Mission Impossible trick with the thumbprint, which is fun. I don't think we've seen Dexter do anything like that before. Harry, of course, isn't happy. And you've already mentioned about how the dynamic has shifted a bit this season. He's a little bit more antagonistic. Dexter's pushing back a bit.
It's more playful too. Like they feel like friends.
Yeah.
I mean that's one of the things that on the set with Remar, like we would talk about, like he's no longer just this sort of ghostly figure who stands with his. If you watch the beginning of the season, he's doing the Harry stand, you know, with his thumbs tucked into the top of his pants and his arms sort of, you know, and he just sort of stands in a corner somewhere. And he's a lot more interactive. I mean, look, he slaps him in the back of the head in this episode, right?
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah. And
was that in the script?
That was Michael. Yeah. Michael he was like, what if he just hits me in the back of the head? Because it is feeling more real to Dexter. Yeah. That's great.
Yeah.
We worked real hard to make him not so static and to make it feel like, because that's what Dexter needs right now. He needs a friend. He needs somebody that's going to call him on his shit. He needs someone that's going to also let him know that he's proud of him, you know, and he's worried about him. It's been real fun.
Yeah. And I loved Harry's acknowledgement the previous episode about Dexter putting himself out to save somebody else. And we've already mentioned that kernel of good that Dokes brought up. I mean, we could talk for an hour about that cameo, couldn't we? But we haven't got that much time. But yeah, this good nugget, when Dexter saved the taxi driver risking exposure, we've seen Dexter step in the way before, even right back to the days of Jeremy Downs when he stepped in and saved him from killing that kid in the swamp. He saved Dokes when it might have better suited him to let Dokes die, given the circumstances, but he
just didn't kill
stepped
him.
In.
It's different.
Yeah. Okay.
He didn't save him.
Okay.
He was like, well, I'm not going to kill you. Yeah.
Yeah, and maybe some of these examples, because there are many where he has allowed or enabled an innocent person to live. But like like you just said, you could look at some of those and say, well, actually, maybe it was just convenient in the moment and it was still self-serving. Um, but
Also, it's
Dex,
Harry talking.
yeah,
It's like this other
yeah,
side that has an experience, has a particular point of view about who Dexter is, of what Dexter's perception of what Harry would think Dexter has done,
yeah,
in the
yeah,
moment. Like of course, it's not all,
yeah,
we tell ourselves these sort of things all the time that are true, but they're not entirely true, right? You
yeah,
could point out that, when Dexter saved that little kid from Trinity a long time ago, and Trinity got to sort of get away. And then even way back in Original Sin, we did that same sort of thing. But it was, uh, for us, it was the fact that Dexter messed up what was working really well. Uh,
mm,
because he's just like, I'm back to the code. I'm just going to do this thing. And already from the get-go, he probably should have just followed him and let things go its course. But because then he could have got proof and gotten everything all done. And in that
yeah,
moment, he didn't follow the code completely, and it sort
mm,
of surprised Harry.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
yeah,
But that little, it's these little flashes, that evidence of maybe a kernel of good
yeah,
that we as viewers are rooting for. We want to see. We want to see that humanity there, and that unselfish humanity that's not self-serving. And I think that's one of the things we're looking forward to this season, and exploring how that develops, or if it doesn't.
yep,
Whether he's obviously got this second chance. He's recognizing he's got this new lease on life. He's got another shot, if you pardon the pun.
yeah,
It really feels like this is something to be explored this year, and acknowledging also that maybe Harrison could teach him something about morality. So it's not necessarily what Dexter can teach Harrison. It's what Harrison can maybe teach him, and give us hope, and give Dexter hope, perhaps, that there is. Well, we've used the phrase redemption arc
yep,
from where we were at the end of New Blood,
yep.
and we're here for it. And maybe that's in your minds as well. It is a potential redemption arc, if not this
Oh yeah,
season, then over the course of however many seasons you've got.
yeah, absolutely. It's and we put it to the test in a big way in episode 4, I think, right? Because Dexter sort of tells himself, his unreliable narrator says, "I've come back to follow the code, to take out bad guys, to feed this thing within me. I'm not going to become friends with anybody. I'm not going to try to create a fake life like I did in the OG Dexter. You know, he's just going to be this guy that has a purpose, and that's his sole purpose. And his son, oh yeah, his son, as Harry keeps saying, don't forget your son,
Yeah,
right? And then
yeah,
he meets this group of serial killers. Uh, and man, how about his performance in that, right? Like the pull that he feels toward just being able to just be completely open and honest and belong with a group of people is just delicious, I think. Yeah. Yeah. So we put it
oh
to the test right away.
yeah,
All I
yeah,
need is, it's like that old thing, like all I need is a loaf of bread, a stick of butter, and a gallon of milk. Okay, no. I also need, it's, you start to realize I need these other things. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. It's well, like you say, with these characters at the dinner party. It's and we've talked a bit about the people you've got playing them. It really is an embarrassment of riches, isn't it? And
Yeah.
Uma Thurman there as Charlie, who full of swagger. She's self-assured, full of confidence, and I'm guessing she really knows how to handle herself if push came to shove. And you've talked
Oh
about how
yeah.
that's come through a lot from Uma's performance, where she can do a lot without saying very much, without verbalizing
Just just a
his
look.
body language. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. Like
yeah,
when Dexter passes the first test and gets in the
mm,
car there at the park, and she's like not the back seat, and it's just that, even just her hand acting of like
mm,
tapping the gun twice, like that person, that woman can
yeah,
whip that thing out and
yeah,
put you down like that.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I love the line in the car where she's almost impressed with herself at finding Schmidt in three. Well, she thinks it's
Three.
Schmidt. Finding you in 3 weeks
Yeah.
took me three
Yeah.
days. Okay.
Yeah. And
So when it
Dexter's
comes
like,
to
impressive.
investigation skills, yeah, yeah, yeah. The episode's full of little comments like that.
Yeah.
It's so fun.
Yeah, we worked hard at
So obviously,
making this season funny too, all the way through. So, and I think we've succeeded. Yeah.
oh yeah, yeah, very much the humor, and that's something that we all loved about the original series is the black
Yeah.
humor that was
Yeah.
one of the big draws of the show was that mixture of the darkness and that humor, that almost
Yeah.
gallows humor. So we meet, or we go to Leon Prater's house, his mansion, which is just opulent. The garage chock full of expensive cars, almost reminiscent of Tony Stark. I thought
Yeah.
the production design here was fantastic. The high
Eric Wilder,
ceilings. Is that
man. Yeah.
is that an actual building? Was it just a full set?
So interesting story. If you want. I'm
Mm.
sorry. Uh, so when you're pulling up, when the car pulls up and goes through that carport with the Tony Stark cars all over the place, that is a very wealthy apartment building that isn't even a carport, but we turned it into a carport in the Upper East Side of Manhattan. And then and she pushes the button or they open the door and then they step into where the elevator is. That elevator is a set that we had in Yonkers. It's all seamless. And then the doors open and they walk into that mansion with the big atrium and the long hallway. That is a mansion in Long Island. This big opulent mansion. So when he walks up and meets Prater at the fire, that's the mansion. Cuts through that big atrium. That's at that mansion with the Statue of Liberty in the middle of it. And then when he steps into the kitchen, we are now back on a set that Eric Weiler built. This big beautiful set with the kitchen and the fireplace and the wine cellar and then of course the vault. So
Yeah.
three different places, and there's going to be a fourth location later on
Okay.
for this
Right.
mansion. Yeah, and it all just feels like it's all, like when I watch it, I'm like, yeah, that's all together, right? Yeah, it's incredible.
It was, as a viewer, it was seamless, and I couldn't work out where potential real locations ended and sets began. And obviously, that's credit to the production design
Yeah,
uh, and good editing as well. Um,
yeah,
so there's one thing I noticed from Charlie when Dexter produces the bloody driver's license.
yeah.
She regards it with some what looks like disdain, and it suggests that she's not a fan of these people like Prater is. Um, and
And she
and
did a
and
good
she's
job because that's how that you're correct. Like, ugh.
yeah, yeah. So it begs the question, and obviously I don't expect you to answer, is what is it that keeps her there? I'm sure a very capable person like her could find a job in security anywhere, and although I'm sure Prater pays very well,
It pays
um,
very well.
but
We'll find out.
we wonder what their history is, if there is some history
Yeah,
there, and what brought them together. So maybe I'm sure that'll be
you'll.
something to be
I'm
revealed.
not going to tell you what it is, but it's coming
No,
up.
yeah, cool, okay. So I'm glad we read
Yeah,
we
but
read that
also,
right.
you know how many like good people work for rotten folks, you know?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Um, and
Yeah.
and we all, just like Dexter, we all like tell ourselves why it's okay. We convince
Yeah.
ourselves that, you know what, this guy's kind of a scumbag, but look what I get paid, and the other stuff that you'll
Yeah.
see in the future. So
Yeah. Yeah. So we meet Prater and of course Peter Dinklage, fantastic
incredible.
actor, and
Couldn't believe we got him.
he's got so much charisma, and
Yeah.
and Prater clearly is a fanboy, and he's giddy like Dexter is to meet all these
How
people.
about
He's
when he holds his hands up and
oh,
giggles up in front of his
do
face like a little school kid?
you know what it
That was
reminded me of?
all. That was all him. Yeah.
It reminded me of Gene Wilder in Willy Wonka.
Yes. Oh my goodness. Yeah. Yeah.
So
That kind of
he's sort of
strange.
skipping around and oh, look at this, and he's oh, press the button.
Yeah. 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 You
Yeah,
get to
uh,
see the fan. Yeah, that's right. He's a fanboy of
yeah,
these very scary people.
yeah. There's a glint of mania in his eye as well, which
Yep.
surely isn't accidental. And obviously we wonder where this fascination, no, I'll rephrase that, his obsession comes
Yeah.
from. And maybe what stopped him becoming a killer himself. Again, I'm sure we're going to learn a lot about him and his history and his story and where his line is, perhaps.
Yep.
So I'll just let you nod knowingly.
Yep, I agree. You will find out.
Yeah. So Dexter ventures into new territory for the show, some of this fertile soil that's being explored, and the whole thing feels so different to anything we've seen in Dexter before. The secret button, the secret lair with the collection of trophies, and this next sequence is one of my favorites of all time from Dexter, and I'm sure it is yours too.
From the moment that Dexter pushes his thumb on the pad and it works, which was very funny. And he goes sweaty, wipes it off. And the doors opening, and then that song "Badoom" by Scrounge starts to play, which is sort of a direct callback to the end of the first episode of season 2, when Dexter can't feel anything and nothing's going on, and then his bodies get found at the end of the episode, and he puts his hand to his chest and he could feel his heart racing, and he's excited by it. We're playing with that again, right? And because we're in New York and we're trying to make it just more New York like, adding that song really helps. And we're gonna play that song again later at the end of the season, so keep a listen for it.
Okay.
And it's gonna mean something completely different to Dexter at that point. But it's fun.
And we get a glimpse of you as the clown, as John Wayne Gacy. I think it occurred to me, are you the first person to play two different people in Dexter? Because of course you played a victim, didn't you, before?
I did. I wasn't on screen. We stayed above me. But
it was a behind the scenes shot, wasn't it, where we could see your face?
Yeah. Variety was there, and they took a whole bunch of shots. So I was like, hey, it's cool for me.
But technically, it's you.
Yeah. That was, and we did that because we really want to tie these two. Original Sin is vital to this show, also. Because that is, we're going to use lots of moments from Original Sin as Dexter's memories as the show goes on. Not lots.
Yeah, and that makes both shows richer, having this connective tissue. It's brilliant. Now, one thing that jumped out to me, obviously there's a lot of familiar serial killers that we notice on the cards, and Ed Gein's lamp and things like that. But what jumped out at me, and knowing you from your social media posts, was the New York Ripper reference, because I know you're a big Lucio Fulci fan.
Yeah.
And that's one of his movies from the early 80s. So I thought, I said to my wife, that's one of Scott's favorite directors, and it was a video nasty back in the early 1980s.
Oh, it's a rough one.
So I've not seen it, and I did try.
I don't suggest it. It's not for the weak of heart.
I did see if it was on streaming, but it wasn't. So I haven't been able to watch it to prepare for the conversation with you. But I wonder, the weapon that we see, is that a weapon that's used in the movie?
No, but
okay.
it's just as vicious.
Okay, I'm sure it is.
Yeah.
So Prater says he was never caught. Now, I don't know if that was the case. You don't have to spoil the movie, so I don't know if that was the case in the movie, or if it was to sow the seed for something in. And again, I don't expect you to react. Sowing the seed for something that's going to play into Dexter Resurrection. Now, if it weren't for Claudette bringing it up later on, I would have thought, it's just a Fulci reference. But now I'm thinking, the Ripper's still out there. Is he going to intersect with Dexter at some point? And I thought, well, one of my listeners has written in and suggested that maybe Elsa becomes a victim at some point, and that stirs up Harrison. And I was just thinking, I wonder if that's the Ripper. I'm not looking at you because I don't want to see you react. Obviously, I'm just watching we're recording. But I thought that would be fun. And obviously blending one of your favorite directors with your favorite show. But it's great. I mean, for me, obviously doing a podcast about it and talking to you and theorizing, it's all part of the fun, drawing these
totally.
lines, and some may come out, some may pay off, and some may just be complete red herrings and come to nothing. But that's the fun of doing this and watching a show that we love and spitballing about what could happen.
Yeah, I love it.
So we'll move on. Obviously, we see our old friends, the slides.
Bought these from an FBI agent with a gambling problem.
I've missed you, friends.
Please don't touch. Sorry.
It's quite a collection.
Michael's performance there, and he's sort of he's almost drunk on the ecstasy of it. Yeah.
When Dexter has to do that, like
Yeah.
his touch of the slides.
Yeah.
Don't touch. Oh yeah, okay, sorry. That grin and touching his forehead, and again, that was like on the day watching Michael do that. We're just in awe. These are words on a page that he brings to such life and finds the humor and the connection, because we've all felt that way about something that we really want, that used to be our, that we just desire so much, and it awakens something in him, as we'll see in the episode.
Yes. Yeah. So Dexter meets Mia first, obviously the wonderful Kristen Ritter. Her physical resemblance to a certain femme fatale from season 2 may or may not be coincidental, but he maybe has a type. So although he restrains himself on this occasion in this episode, I don't know if that will be the case throughout the whole season. But she does pull a trick later in the episode that Lila did in season 2 with the shower. So we'll see. But
I love
it
that
was
moment.
very interesting.
I love Harry as the cock blocker in that scene.
Yeah.
Sorry with serial killers isn't really in the code handbook.
Yeah. I mean, just having your dad there at a time like that is
it's just so awkward.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll be
and
going.
then when he leaves and he's like, sorry, I gotta go do something else. And Ritter's
What?
It makes me laugh so hard every time.
Yeah.
Being able to work with Ritter again was incredible. Like I had such a great time writing for her on Jessica Jones, so that when Mia Lady Vengeance became a character, I was always writing toward this, knowing she would be amazing at it. And luckily we got her. Luckily all the she ended up getting Jessica Jones back, and timing it was tough, but timing worked out.
Brilliant.
And she's
I'm glad it did.
At it.
Yeah. You posted a selfie with her a couple of years ago, and I commented on your picture on Twitter and said Kristen would have been a great villain in Dexter, and she liked my reply. And I was pleased that she noticed it. But then when she was announced in the cast, I thought, I wonder if you had a conversation back then. I'm writing this part for Dexter Revival.
Yeah.
Did you sound her out?
Yeah, I totally did. I was hoping she would be able to do it, because she's perfect, and she's the right age for Dexter, and that jogging scene when they're just sharing with each other. It's amazing how two people talking can just get so hot.
Yeah.
That scene on the parking bench where Dexter's able to reveal himself, and she's revealing stuff about herself that she's never done before. And and
often that's the best part of TV shows. Sometimes is just having two characters in a room talking, more than any high budget action sequence. Just characters interacting, and I'm hoping down the line we're going to get more of that, and I'm hoping we've got more conversations between Dexter and Batista, and I'm sure we will. But we digress. Obviously, we left Dexter at the dinner party and meeting this assortment of characters. We've got, as you say, Eric Stone Street, who's you just want to give him a big hug.
He's a hugger.
I'm looking forward to some dark shit from him this season.
Oh yeah.
And of course Doogie Howser, who I think I last saw in probably Gone Girl,
Yep.
and he's smarmy and cocky, and Dexter
Yeah.
obviously didn't warm to him, and Mia's standoffish. We of course meet Gareth and David Desmalchian, who's fantastic, and I think he's another one of those actors who says a lot without opening his mouth.
Yeah. He's got this face that the camera loves. Um,
Yeah.
and he's so intelligent uh, about how he portrays this character. Because it could be overplayed, and he's just reserved and lets it happen.
Mm.
Nothing felt forced. Yeah, as you'll see this whole season. Yeah, his Gareth is. We all know that guy that thinks that they're the smartest guy in the room, and they might be, but
Yeah,
it
Gareths,
it
they're all the
sucks
same.
when they. Yeah, yeah, yeah. You're all
No.
the same.
No, 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 not this one. But yeah, he's great, and I'm looking forward to. He's probably the one of the bunch who we found out least about in this episode. So I'm looking
Yeah,
forward to finding more about him and what the Gemini Killer's MO is, and what his motivation is. So maybe
yeah.
we'll get
You
another
get like
show
the
and tell.
briefest glimpse of his trophies in the trophy room,
Mm,
all those pictures.
yeah,
Um,
yeah,
but that's about it.
mm,
Yeah, he's very
yeah.
reserved. You get this feeling that he's here for the money, and he can't believe he's got to spend all this time with these plebes.
He's the Gemini Killer.
Meet the guy voted most likely to become a serial killer in his high school yearbook.
You're listening to Dissecting Dexter.
I'd rather not.
So Dexter decides to go after Lowell first. Obviously, with the code, he needs to be sure. And this is the only one of the group at that dinner party who expresses immediate intent to kill anybody. So it seems like Dexter at this point has perhaps already decided to pick off this group one by one, which will be a bit weird as the new guy if the others start disappearing. And I think he does acknowledge that a bit later on, doesn't he?
Yep. Yeah, he's
Rater also
conflicted, right? Part of it
yeah,
is I if I were, because he's told himself I can't have friends, I can't really have a life. I just do the code and take care of my son, and I'll probably take care of my son from afar. And then the very first people, this is what I was talking about earlier, the very first people he meets, he feels this connection and this bond, um, and this desire to belong, that these people
yeah,
are giving him. And we
yeah.
already put him to the test right away.
Mm, yeah, yeah. I mean, that, as we say, that whole sequence was just a delight, an absolute delight to watch. Let's move on. We haven't really talked about Batista and Harrison a great deal yet. We find Batista has followed the breadcrumbs to New York. He finds Harrison by means of tracing that truck.
Yeah.
Now we
I love
love
that scene
Angel.
with Lance, that with Lance and Batista,
Oh, yeah.
like when Lance opens the door, smoking weed,
Yeah.
and he's like, you're what is it, Uber Eats or whatever,
Yeah. No.
Postmates. I just, the look. If you watch it again, the look that Zayas gives him when he says, "Yo, Postmates," is so good. Oh man.
So Angel is interesting this season because he's positioned as an antagonist, and he does things that you would expect an antagonist to do, but you might also reasonably expect a wily detective to do as well, like playing along
Yeah.
with Harrison and letting him think that Dexter's dead. He's
That
playing
was
a
a big
canny
moment.
game.
Yeah,
Mm,
that was a huge moment for us because if there's one thing that we know about Batista is that he's honest and truthful. Like he
yeah,
can't help it. He is a kind soul, and he had made that. And if you watch that scene again, when Harrison goes, I guess you heard about my dad dying out in Iron Lake. We just sit on Batista, and you can see his gears grinding and going, do I tell him his dad is alive, or is this a tool I could use? And then
yeah,
he lies. because at that point he's
Yeah.
thinking, all right, if I could just get Harrison to admit that he knew his dad was the Bay Harbor Butcher, that's all he wants. Because I don't even
Yeah.
think that we didn't feel like Batista really cared about the rapist. Like he just wants to take down Dexter, and if he can get his
Yeah.
son to say it, then he's
Yeah.
got him. You know?
Yeah. It's the result that matters. And he's
Yeah.
a very sad figure this season. We've seen him waking up and reaching for the bottle, still
Yeah.
wearing yesterday's clothes. He's got that air about him, and that's credit to David's performance, of course, and the words on the page. But he's carrying himself, and obviously we know the character, and we know where he's come from, what he's been through. He's carrying that immense sadness of losing his wife. Obviously cared for Deb as well.
Yeah.
And
he's got to hold on to, other than with Harrison, he's got to hold on to what he believes to be true, because it's insane. Dokes is the Bay Harbor Butcher. Like it was proven. It's part of the reason why he didn't tell his old buddies back there, because then they would just be like, "Oh, dude, you're fucked. What's going on with your head?" You know. So he has to hold on to all of this. Poor Batista.
Yeah, poor Batista. Obviously, as you've heard on the podcast, we're fearing for his safety in the sort of medium to long term, and we're hoping that he doesn't come out of this in a coffin. I assume at this point he thinks that Dexter killed Maria himself at this point in the story. So he's got that bombshell to come when he finds out it was Deb.
There's just not a world where he could imagine anybody but Dexter doing it.
Yeah.
Like he can't imagine that Deb knew, that Deb would lie to him about all of that. Yeah.
Yeah. And of course, then Elsa shows up and she drops a bollock by mentioning Ryan's murder. What? You could almost hear the record scratch sound effect. Yeah. Yeah. So now he's tying that together and he's thinking, is that Dexter? Is Harrison following in Dexter's footsteps with his MO? I guess that will remain to be seen. But his mind must be racing. So where are we in the episode? So yeah, we're back with Dexter. So he Googles Lady Vengeance to find out more about Mia. And we find, and this is perhaps crucial for her character compared to the others, in that it seems like she might have her own code, or at least she has a profile of the sort of victim that she chooses. So they've got some, in a Venn diagram of serial killers, that they share some, they share a piece. Yeah.
I love that moment too, because we've all been caught like looking somebody up online.
Yeah.
Just
I don't know what you mean.
When she pops over his shoulder and is like, he's looking me up, huh? All right, okay. And poor Dexter doesn't. Crush. yeah. And poor Dexter doesn't. His flirt game is nil.
Yeah.
It's so fun.
Going back to Harrison, he gets friend zoned. Now this was something that came up a week or two ago, because we were talking about the potential age of Elsa. So are we right in thinking she's in her 20s?
She's like 28 years old. She's got a kid.
Oh wow.
Harrison is like 17, almost 18. He means 18. Because I'm not going to tell you why. There's like all sorts of in between seasons. There's longer periods of time went on than you think.
Okay.
But it's Harrison who's falling for her. It's that young, idealistic 18-year-old, and he's like lonely, and he's here in the city, and here is this woman that is so nice and kind to him. And again, that sort of bizarro world reflection of, remember Rita worked in a hotel for a little bit. And here's this girl that's, it's these things that just sort of that echo in lives. And so he's a dumb 18-year-old kid who's like, all right, I'm gonna go for it. I can be a great dad. I can do anything but deal with my own shit, and he's sort of reaching out to her, and it should be like a little like, I don't know. But when you're 18 years old, I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah. It's yeah. I mean, that's way too big of an age gap. That's obviously a lot bigger of an age gap than we speculated. We thought maybe. I
Yeah.
mean, the actress looks very young,
Yeah.
but yeah, that's yeah. So we were right
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
be. Yeah.
You know, when he tries to kiss her, because in her world, she's
Yeah.
like, ah, I'm mothering this kid. I'm taking care of him. I'm helping this
Yeah.
kid out. And then,
Yeah.
and then he's
Uh,
like, I'm a MILF to you? Oh, come on. Yeah. Yeah.
um.
Yeah.
So yeah. So Dexter, as we talked about, meets up with Mia in the park, and they go for a jog together, and we learn a little bit about her background, which is interesting. As you know from listening to me spout about people, I like to know what makes them tick and what their
Yeah.
motivation is. You know, I did it to death in Original Sin,
Yeah.
maybe too much, but Mia
No, it was
talks
great.
about having a single mum with multiple boyfriends,
Yeah.
some of which may have been abusive, if not to
And
her, then
also,
certainly to her sister.
and let's not forget, like, she talks about when she was like a little kid, she got upset at somebody and stuck thumbtacks in their face and beat them with a book. These aren't
Oh
normal
yeah,
things, you know.
yeah,
I mean,
no,
that's psychotic behavior.
mm. Yeah. There's no two ways about that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
That
yeah,
yeah, that would get a letter home from teacher, wouldn't it?
yeah. And as she said, her parents said, "Don't do that again," rather than trying
Yeah,
to get her help.
yeah.
Yeah,
It was unchecked, and for
yeah,
years, obviously, Harry tried to help Dexter on his own. And we've speculated on the podcast about how different things might have been if Dexter had got the appropriate help at the
yeah,
right time, if even the appropriate help existed when he was that age. I mean,
yeah,
things are
yeah,
better now, but it's all what ifs. But it was interesting learning about her background, and that's my jam. It's sort of
yeah.
understanding people. Dexter goes on, and as we talked about, he beats a hasty retreat from joining Lila. Oh, Freudian slip. Joining Mia in
Yeah,
the shower,
yeah,
and he meets with Lowell. And I thought Neil was really good in that scene where he's not really paying much attention to Dexter. He's just looking out of the window, going, looking across at
yeah.
the girl in the tattoo parlor, and all that
They,
swagger was gone.
the fun note. The woman that was getting tattooed was
Mm.
getting tattooed by this kind of this amazing tattoo artist. He's a real tattoo artist in New York named Danny Galuzzo, who is Rob G's
Ah,
cousin,
okay.
who I did the podcast with a long time
Yes.
ago, and they would watch Dexter together all the time, every Sunday night. That was like their thing that they did. So it was really fun for Danny G to be able to a you know be a tattooist on the show, and then be there for the kill. He got to watch
Mm.
it all happen. It was pretty fun.
Yeah. Yeah. Excellent. Um, so we're almost at the end of the episode. We had that scene. We've talked a little bit already about the New York Ripper and that
Can we
Claudette.
also talk about? We can
Yeah,
go a
sure,
little longer if you want.
sure.
Uh, the stalk moment. We
Yes.
worked really hard on that both of editing and the way it was shot and the way that it was lit, um, to make it feel like it was a De Palma murder scene. One of those big murder set pieces that
Mm.
like in Dress to Kill and things like that, with the music when she puts the music on her head and then the song comes on, that both feels like it's appropriate for who that character is, all covered up and tatted up in that sort of like dark wave goth sound, but also like appropriate for a proper murder set piece.
Mm.
And the feeling of her walking off and just looking at her arm, and the music
Yeah.
swells, that song by attachment. And and it feels like, oh my God, we're going to see her get killed. And then Dexter swoops in at the last minute and grabs him.
Yeah.
So that night when we were shooting it, we were in Brooklyn and like Williamsburg area. And across the street was this this pasta shop where there were 6 people sitting in the window, like at sort of like at a bench, who got this amazing front row view of watching Dexter Michael take out Neil Patrick Harris for like an hour. And I just kept thinking, what's going on in their minds to be able to sit there and watch this thing, happen like street theater in front of them. It was pretty, and it didn't leak. I thought for sure that people were gonna like take video of it and it was gonna end up everywhere, and nobody took video of it. I think they were just so caught up in their pasta and murder that it turned out okay.
Yeah, because that would have been a big spoiler to get out there. Dexter killing Neil Patrick Harris's character, and in that way.
I can't believe it didn't happen. I guess it just goes to how good that pasta must be that they didn't want to stop eating.
Or maybe it was so spicy their eyes were watering and they couldn't really see a thing anyway.
Yeah. No, it's that was a challenge in New York because there's people everywhere, cameras everywhere.
Yeah.
Both on the show and in the show. Yeah.
Yeah. Just a sidebar, because I mentioned the word spoilers, and a couple of listeners wanted me to bring this up, and you'll have heard me mention it on the podcast. The flashes we get after the title card, is that the network that does those?
No, we do.
Okay.
I missed it. After I heard that, we went back through it to make sure that the future ones are intriguing without blowing it, I understand. I like the flash forwards. Like you say, if you don't like them, you can close your eyes for
if you know they're
8
coming.
seconds that it happens. But we're being a lot more careful to make sure that doesn't happen again. So thank you for that. Yeah.
Well, good. I'm so happy that you're listening, because it did. I'll be honest. I've watched the episode. Which one? No, the first two episodes were fine. It was the third one, and it was the Masuka Quinn appearance. And I must admit, I was ready for it. So when I watched it the first time, I didn't look, so I missed it. And then when I rewatched it to make notes for the podcast, I watched it because I thought, I'm going to watch it a bit more carefully. And the first image was Masuka and Quinn, and I thought, oh no. One of my listeners said that he was watching it, and he did the same when he rewatched it with his wife. He told her to cover her eyes because he knew that would be spoiled. and then this one, there was a flash of a kill table, so we knew that someone was going to get it.
Oh, that's weird that they would have a kill table on Dexter, but I understand.
Yeah. I mean, fair,
you know what I mean?
It's in the. It could have been anybody.
It's in the language of the show. So that was a great kill room. That kill space was in a working tattoo parlor. There's like very upscale tattoo parlor right across the way from there in Brooklyn.
And an abundance of shrink wrap.
And they had all the tools that he needed. The killer brought his own things that he'll die by, and then all the shrink wrap and then that. I just loved the way Neil Patrick Harris played that kill moment on the table. That he was, it was written that way. It was written that he's not going to like beg for his life or do anything. Like he's a pragmatist. He's like, I've done this enough times to know there's nothing I can do here. He doesn't try to change his mind. He just tries for it. And Dexter thinks about it and says, no.
It was a great scene. It was in my notes. I wrote the scene is exquisite. There's not much dialogue because often kill table scenes are quite wordy. They have quite a good conversation, and maybe there's another iteration of the script where they did say more. So there's not much dialogue, but what's there counts. And it's like you say, the resignation.
Dexter. Yeah. And it's all leading to Dexter wanting to ask the question that he knows the answer to, but he wants to hear someone else say it so he can validate what he's about to do. Right.
Yeah.
This whole idea of why do you keep the skins? And this guy gives him the reason, even though Dexter knows that he probably shouldn't do it, and it's caused him lots of trouble in the past. He just wants it. He misses it. He needed to have somebody else. I'm saying in quotation marks, convince him that that it's a good thing that I have these things, because if I have these things, then I can look at them and I can remember. And when I feel the urge rising too much, I can remember who this slide was, and then maybe not kill tonight, and maybe not get sloppy,
Yeah. Yeah.
which goes to we're unafraid of like dipping into the kind of grosser qualities of Dexter being a serial killer.
Yeah. Yeah.
That he likes to remember.
Yeah, and that's another connection back to dialogue from Original Sin, when Harry, as Christian Slater as Harry, said, "Why the bloody hell did you keep these earrings?" And he said, "I just
Slammed him
wanted
up
to
against the
remember."
wall.
Yeah, trophies. That's sick. And I captured that audio clip because I thought that was great dialogue, and I played it back on the podcast.
Yeah.
But
it's fun that
again,
it gets awakened in the when Dexter sees his slide, when he walks through and he meets this guy Prater, who celebrates the very thing that his father said is sick and disgusting, he should never do. And then he sees his slides, and then he's in a room where he can break that piece of glass and make a blood slide again. And and then I love Neil Patrick Harris is, sorry to droop your chub. Hilarious. And that was Neil Patrick Harris on the day. That was in the middle of that section, that in the middle of sort of his little mini monologue that he gives there. And Neil went to Clyde and I and was just like, "What do you think if I move that to the end? I think it'll really work." And of course, we're like, "Yeah, please go for it." If anything, as Clyde says, everybody, the only requirement that we ask everybody is to make it better. And he did. The two of them working together made it better.
Yeah.
But it's really interesting to see Dexter desire, want, need, whatever you want to call it, the blood slides again, and convince himself that this is good for me, despite the fact that it hasn't been good for him,
Yeah.
on any level. It's never worked out.
Over the years, he's often been good at kidding himself, isn't he? Convincing himself of things that aren't a good idea, and he's not perfect.
And Harry didn't show up during that.
No,
that's not a voice he wanted then. He let Lowell be the voice that he needed to convince himself to do this thing. Which I love it, because that goes to why I think we love Dexter so much, is because he makes those very same human decisions that we do. Even though he tells himself he's not really human. But we watch and we go, "Yeah, you are. Come on, buddy."
Yeah. We keep seeing flashes of it, don't we? And to err is human. We all make mistakes. Making mistakes is perfectly normal. That word "normal," I don't like to use it, but you know what I mean.
I do.
What is normal? So another moment I liked is that final moment before the knife plunges, where Michael does this little thing with his hand. I'm Dexter Morgan.
I'm Dexter Morgan.
The Bay Harbor Butcher.
Ah! Yeah. Stab.
That was great. Yeah. I think Lowell would have liked a couple more minutes of conversation at that point, wouldn't he? Just to give him a chance to fanboy a bit. Because I guess Bay Harbor Butcher's got to be famous in serial killer circles.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So that was a great scene. That was definitely I mean, this episode's been full of season highlights of the 4 we've had, but I think some of these will stand tall come the end of the season.
Our directors and editors on this episode, Monica and directed this episode. I mean, who edited this episode? Was it Lewis? Anyway, the editor. There's that great moment where Dexter, you're looking, the classic shot of Dexter post-kill, and he kind of looks up, and then we sort of fade into the city, and Dexter's face is meshed with the city, like he's the Lord of New York in some weird way, to getting to the disposal and all of that. I thought was that's again one of those moments where when I saw what they did with it, they made the script so much better. and they made it so much more. The aesthetics of it all are just gorgeous. Yeah, I love it, and it's very New York.
Yeah.
It's very particular.
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't shy away from that.
Yeah. So after that, we get a great scene between Batista and Harrison. So Angel's all business now, and again, poor Harrison is sitting there looking like he's either going to cry or vomit.
How great is Jack? Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I know that there were dissenters during New Blood, unfairly, I felt, but I'm seeing nothing but praise for him in Resurrection, and thank God.
Yeah, all it took was for him to kill somebody.
Great. Yeah, who knew?
What's wrong with you people?
So Angel's stern expression cracks after he mentions Deb and Rita and LaGuerta.
No, honestly, that guy Ryan sounded like a real asshole. Good riddance. Did your dad make it seem like that's all he was doing? Taking out the worst criminals? Making the world a better place? Like he was some sort of dark avenger? A lot of innocent people died because of your dad. People that I loved. My ex-wife, Maria LaGuerta, your Aunt Deb, your mother.
Sounds like you've gone down a real conspiratorial rabbit hole. Good luck getting out of it. We're done here.
This is a dark path you're going down. I truly hope you don't become like your dad.
And like we say, he's so riddled with sadness, and we all feel for him. And this quest for closure seems to be all he's got left at this point. But he's still not letting on that Dexter's alive. But he's sure that Harrison's lying, and he still smacks of that tragic. He's going to become that tragic character. Harrison leaves that meeting. Oh yeah, we get that great line about this is a dark path you're going down that we got in the trailer. I love that line. I've captured that audio clip as well. I'll be inserting it into this conversation for the podcast. So Harrison leaves there, and obviously Batista's words are weighing very heavily on him. And he looks at Wallace's card. He gets as far as
the incessant ticking.
Yes,
the telltale watch. Basically,
that won't go away. Yeah. And he's obviously considering turning himself in, which is something that he was imploring Dexter to do at the end of New Blood. Again, signs of his functioning moral compass, that he knows what he did was wrong, and that he should put his hands up to it and take whatever's coming to him.
Yep.
Is he thinking at this point whether or not he's becoming like his dad? Is that weighing on him, that maybe he does, or is it simply the guilt of what he's done? I wonder if he's comfortable. Right.
Yeah. Like there's that. That's why we flash to those talks with his father. That what if this happens again? And if it happens again to someone that doesn't, deserve it, because he feels guilty enough about killing a guy that, kind of left him no choice to a certain extent. He could have stopped. He made a choice when he went and grabbed that toilet lid. He could have grabbed the girl and left the room, and everything would have been fine. But this poor kid was so traumatized, and we flash to Kurt's victims in that cave, in that underground unit back in New Blood, that he just snapped. But yeah, it's all of those things are true, and the only answer that he could come up with is turn himself in, pay for his sins more, that's the only way he'll find any sort of redemption.
Yeah.
And then luckily Dexter finally listened to Harry, and originally we'd shot that and we'd written it like we watched Dexter following, and Dexter realizing, oh my God, my son's about to turn himself in. But it just felt so much more important to live with Harrison in that moment and let Dexter be a surprise. And then we'll unpack it next episode. Right.
Yeah. But, and and that's where we close the episode. We go to credits,
Yeah.
and that's the end of, I guess that's the end of Act 1 of Dexter Resurrection. And that was
A lot of
the
balls
last.
up in the air we're juggling.
Very much so, yeah. So, I mean, summing up the episode, there's so much to love about it. The kill table, the collection, the serial killers, the chemistry between Dexter and Mia. What for you? What, because you said to me before the season that this was your favorite of the season, or certainly one of your favorites. For you, and I think you've said on social media the other day that this is an all-time favorite episode for you.
Yeah.
What is it for you, if you were to sum it up? What is it that makes this rank that highly?
This idea of Dexter being thrust into a world of temptation, of other serial killers, has been I've been thinking about it since like season 5 of the OG show, of this idea of Dexter meeting a wealthy man who's brought together all these sort of serial killers. I'm glad we never did it. I'm glad we waited until now, because this is, as the Bible says, that this happened for such a time as this, right? I love watching Dexter struggle with this very human need to belong to a group of people, and to think that he could become something else. Because he's at the top of this season, he has written the script of his life, right? That I'm just going to follow the code. I'm going to put my head down and kill bad guys and watch over my son. I've said this a couple times on this podcast. I'm sorry, but then immediately he meets up with this very heightened, very human need to like be open and honest with somebody, and not to live a life of secrets, and to feel understood by other people and that's human. That's an incredible thing. And watching Dexter sort of struggle with all of this season is exciting to me, and because we're able to really, in this very heightened experience, deep dive into serial killer culture, which is, I don't think it's ever been. I think the 90s felt like the apex, but now if you put on Netflix, like every documentary is about a serial killer, or about somebody that murdered a bunch of people. Books, movies, everything. We're fascinated with it, so it's fun to watch. It's fun to watch Dexter interact with all these folks, and I think you're gonna love where it goes. The surprises and the intensity, the humor. Not everything's going to go the way you think, and some things are going to go exactly the way you think.
Yeah.
But I love this heightened world. Like it feels Tarantino-esque, in the way that it's all sort of, it has its own rules, like John Wick even, it has its own rules, and it's very heightened, but because it's ground in these very basic needs that Dexter has, hopefully we're all along for the ride. And I feel like episode 4 succeeded. To me, it succeeded in all those things. You feel Dexter's pull and push, and you feel Harrison's very human need to make up for the terrible things that he's done, and Batista's, man, it's bordering on on mania to make things right. I think about poor Batista laying in bed after he got that call from Angela, and going, "Oh my God, LaGuerta put it out there, and I called her an idiot, and I didn't believe her, and she died, and it was all there." He's got his own guilt he's dealing with, and he's going to work real hard to try to assuage all of that and to make things right.
Everything is wonderfully poised for whatever's coming down the pipe this season. Robert Lewis said today that he's, because I said to him, "Are you up to date with Resurrection?" And he said, "I am, and more." And he said, "What's coming will blow your socks off." So I'm looking forward to having my
I'm
socks
nodding
blown off.
along. Yeah.
Yeah. Obviously, you know what's coming, and you know that we're here for it, and we're going to be as excited as you are for us to see it.
Yeah.
I think it's what I'm looking forward to. I mean, yeah, all these different serial killers are great, and Prater's group. But I think as a long-term fan of the show, it's the relationships and the character stuff that I think is I'm looking forward to more, and that's to see how Harrison and Dexter's relationship develops, or doesn't, as the case may be, and what happens between Dexter and Batista. Quite a popular theory. And if you listen to the podcast this week, you'll hear in the listener feedback, more than one person suggests the possibility that in his pursuit of Dexter, Batista gets too close to Prater's group, and one of them, or just Prater, arranges for Batista to be bumped off, and Dexter saves him. And that may be the thing that perhaps gets Batista off Dexter's tail, off his case. And if that were to happen, I'm picturing in my sort of Dexter Fantasyland head what I would like to see. And we've already mentioned earlier tonight about two people in a room talking and how fascinating that can be, more than, you know, the wildest action scene. I would love if Batista survives this season. Again, I'm not looking at you. Then maybe in season 2, I will neither
confirm nor deny any of your allegations.
Could we get possibly a bottle episode between between Dexter and Batista, just all the cards on the table, and just having a 45-minute conversation about everything? I think that would be fantastic. As a long-term fan of the show, maybe it's something that's in your head, sort of planning for the future, because Dexter's never done a bottle episode, is it?
No. Too many characters.
But who knows? Maybe in this new era of Dexter, that's something. You know, I just throw it out there. You can have that idea.
All I can promise is there's more to come between Dexter and Batista.
Yeah, excellent. Yeah. I'll settle for that.
And the coming episode 5, this feeling that you have for how Dexter and Harrison will land. There are some rich, beautifully acted, gorgeously shot scenes coming up as these two figure out, you know, what's going on.
And
how to move forward. They are so good together. In episode 5, it's some great stuff coming up.
Excellent, thank you. So what's next for you in the medium to long-term future? Obviously you're finishing post on Resurrection. And then is it straight into Original Sin? Does the writers' room reconvene?
I don't know yet.
Okay.
Still between all the things that are going on with Paramount and Skydance and everything. I'm fully convinced. I'm not worried. It's all going to come. It's all going to happen. We just haven't. There's no dates necessarily set.
So nothing's been written.
Happen.
The writers' room hasn't come back together for season 2 yet.
No. We wanted to give our full attention to post. It's a lot. There's a lot of stuff that goes on in post between, music and sound, and making sure we have the right edit of it all. And there's a lot of mixed reviews. It's all it's a lot. So we're sort of lucky that we get to put our full attention onto that. Because it deserves it.
Definitely.
So that all that stuff will be coming. We have big plans. We got big plans.
And we're here for it. We'll be right here to lap it up. Well, thank you ever so much, Scott, for giving up your time today. I know you've got.
Thanks for doing the podcast.
You're busy. Hey, it's a pleasure. It's And it's a great time to be a Dexter fan. I keep saying that
is.
on the podcast.
As a fan myself, I agree.
Listener feedback.
Okay, it's time to dig into what you guys thought of the episode. And not surprisingly, there is a lot of feedback this week. First though, and I usually do this bit in the intro, but obviously time was precious with Scott and I didn't want to keep him waiting too long. But, as I say every week, if you like what you hear, and I always hope that you do, maybe you could help me out, please, by leaving a nice review or rating on whichever podcast platform you're using. If you really like what you hear, maybe consider supporting me on Patreon. From as little as £2 a month, you can get access to Patreon exclusive podcasts, which I call Shortcuts. I'm also looking at uploading ad-free episodes of the podcast. You could maybe get personal video messages from me or even an invitation to be on a future podcast. My thanks go to my two newest supporters on there, John and James, and to everyone who supports me there. It really helps cover the costs of running the show. And extra special thanks to the higher tier supporters, my wonderful cleavers and bone saws, Phil, Nick, Jennifer, Kelly, Ryan and John. www.patreon.com/dissectingdexter is the place to go to do that, and I thank you. Okay, if you want to get in touch with me, you can by emailing dissectingdexter@gmail.com, or you can search for Dissecting Dexter on Instagram, Facebook, Blue Sky. I'm also on Twitter @DissectDexter.
Hi Gareth. Well, that was some episode, wasn't it? I'm gonna try and jump straight into this and be succinct because there's a lot to say after that. But yeah, obviously it was an incredible episode, probably my favourite since episode 1, and yeah, enjoyed it a lot. It was a fantastic watch. Loved all the Easter eggs. It felt like every couple of minutes there was a little Easter egg for us to find. We had the watch ticking in Harrison's pocket, and when he put it in the safe, and that noise, the tick tick tick, was like that's the sound of your life running out. So very Jordan Chase-esque. I like the fact that they've put a little reference into season 5 and, you know, a series after Clyde Phillips's reign, because it's felt like before they've just ignored any of the later series and any of the Scott Buck series really, which you know, whilst they're probably not everyone's favourite, I liked a lot. So I'm pleased that they're doing little nods to some of the later series. Another Easter egg, we had Mia in the bathroom leaving the door ajar. That was kind of straight out the playbook. We've seen that move before. The little makeshift blood slides was like the first episode of New Blood when he kills Matt Caldwell. Even the serial killers, I think the tattoo collector reminds me of the Skinner in series 3 with you know, the knife and the way he's literally taking people's skin. Rapunzel and his ponytails, that's very Boyd Fowler-esque again, season 5. You know, with the Barrel Girls. So yeah, Easter eggs all over the place. There's some classic Dexter humour in there. I mean, this veganism stuff is very funny. It's making me laugh a lot, to be honest. The way he sipped that, well, he didn't sip, did he? He gulped that $4,000 bottle of $4,000 bottle of wine, and then the little line when he throws Lowell's body into the furnace with Lowell meet red. It's just, yeah, it's all feeling like OG Dexter, and yeah, enjoying it a lot. Got to say, I was anxious about this episode because obviously we knew he was going to meet Prater and we knew he was going to meet the serial killer ring, and I've just had this worry that it's going to feel too high budget, too polished, too much like a Hollywood film and not like a Dexter series. And it does feel like a little bit of a stretch, I've got to say. Like, I'm still slightly getting used to it, but the way they handled it with the vault and Prater's collection, and the way they explained like how this group has come to be, and it's his obsession, and you know, he's obviously a very rich guy who has the resources to bring these people in. I thought it was well handled, actually. I enjoyed the way that they presented the vault. It did remind me a little bit of Kurt Caldwell's museum, if you like, the way it was all laid out. But yeah, it alleviated some of my concerns and anxiety, although I'm still getting used to this new high budget version of Dexter. But yeah, it was, the way they handled it was great. I loved the reunion at the end with him, you know, pulling Harrison back from going in the police station. It literally had me off the sofa at that point. Got to say, I'm loving Harrison. It's a big U-turn for me after New Blood finale, because he was not he went on my Christmas card list after that. But yeah, the way he's portraying him is amazing, and he's doing a great job. So I'm enjoying Harrison, and all the flashbacks to New Blood and Original Sin are amazing as well. The way this has been shot and put together is class, to be fair to them. A few little minor gripes. I don't like this version of Batista. It's reminding me of Deb in New Blood, like very, very dark. He actually looks like he should be in the Addams Family. I've got to say, he looks like Gomez, and I'm not enjoying it. Batista was always the heart of Miami Metro, the personality, the charisma, and it's all of that has just gone. And yeah, I'm finding him he's doing a great job. No digs at David Zayas at all. It's just that the characters, the change in him, I'm finding a strange one to watch. The other thing is, Angel keeps saying that his wife had this idea about the Bay Arbor Butcher, and that's why he's here, following up on his wife's theory. I've just finished watching series 7 and 8, and he as good as tells LaGuerta in the original series that she's insane for having these thoughts about Dexter and to drop it. And he even says at the start of season 8, she got killed because she wouldn't leave it alone. So I don't know why he can't just say, I'm here because Chief Bishop flagged that she thought you might be the Bay Harbor Butcher, and also, my wife did previously have this idea. Like, I don't know why they've gone down this angle of he's here on LaGuerta's mission when, that's not the case. Maybe it's just the writers thinking they've got to avoid Angela at all costs, given, the way they had to write her out of it. So it could be that. Minor gripe anyway. It's not too big a point. It's just frustrating me a little bit. The other one I was going to say is, how did Dexter chop up Lowell? Because he didn't have any of his kit with him. He anaesthetised him using his machine. He only had Lowell's knife, and then we see him chopped up into bags and disposed of. So I don't know how he managed to saw them. He did say that tattoo parlors have everything you need, but I don't know if they'd have a bone saw. But anyway, I'll wave that off. It's not a big problem. A couple of quick predictions. I think somebody that wrote into the show previously said that he's going to have to come out as the Bay Harbor Butcher to the group, and I think that he will. I think that prediction's right, because the Dark Passenger killings are obviously going to stop. Lowell's gone missing, and surely someone's going to smell a rat. So whoever called that, I think that was I think that's right, and fair play to them. And I also think that, although I've said previously they can't kill Angel, I think Mia might kill him. We know that Angel's got a weakness for women. We know that she goes after sexual predators, and obviously Angel is not a sexual predator, but we did have that storyline in series 2 with Lila, and then Loie didn't do anything. I'm just wondering if she might exploit his weakness for women to get rid of him on behalf of Dexter, because clearly they're getting on well, aren't they? So yeah, maybe Angel goes at the hands of Mia. That's my latest views on that. But yeah, overall it was incredible, and I feel sorry for any of the actors from the original show that didn't get the nod to come back for this, because they must be gutted. But loving it a lot, enjoying the podcast. Thanks for everything you do, Gareth, and cheers, mate.
Thanks, Luke. Good theories. Interesting thoughts on Batista. I do hope you're wrong with the theory about Mia pegging him for a predator and taking him out, though. Funny how you say he looks more like Gomez Addams. Scott and I talked about him and how he's got the weight of the world on his shoulders. A lot of time has passed for him since season 8 and that call from Angela. It may have been a watershed moment. Sorry, my dog is whining in the background. It may have been a watershed moment where something fell into place and Batista thought, oh shit, was I completely wrong back then, and I should have taken Maria's suspicions seriously? And if he had, would his wife now be still alive? We've seen him drinking, we've seen him waking up in yesterday's clothes. He's not in the best place, and that's sad, but if he's looking tired and sort of shadows around his eyes now, that's why, I think. It's sad that he's a shadow of the person that we once knew. John Lewis has emailed and says Harrison has demonstrated that his Dark Passenger is different than Dexter's. He wants to kill and protect. I'll rephrase that and read it properly. He wants to kill to protect and save lives. A nod to season 4. What happens if Harrison's love interest, Elsa, is tragically murdered by her involvement with Harrison and by proxy, Dexter? What if it's in a pool of her own blood, just like Rita? They were both mothers to young boys, worked at a hotel, and were in relationships with killers. Does that open Harrison's eyes to how Dexter sees the world and change Harrison's relationship with his own dark passenger? Thanks, John. Nice idea. Obviously, on the back of the conversation you've just heard with Scott, we know how old Elsa is, and I think romance between her and Harrison is off the table because of icky reasons. But it was a nice idea. Often TV show plots have some cyclical nature to them. Things come round again, you get history repeating itself in cruel ways, and this would be one, and maybe it could still happen, but without the romantic aspect between Elsa and Harrison. But it could still happen. Could Elsa end up on the radar of the New York Ripper? Could that be how his path crosses with Dexter's? We move on. Michelle from New Jersey sent in a voicemail. She says some lovely things about the podcast, which I really appreciate. And she had some thoughts coming out of episode 3 and our conversation about it, and about Michael C. Hall in particular.
First, I wanted to say that, I know the references were made in the last episode, I think mostly in the last episode, to his age and the fact that he's aging. I actually thought, despite the fact that it's always funny to me that in 6 Feet Under, when I first saw him, I was so creeped out by him, and yet I've had dreams about Dexter because I think he's so sexy. So I find him very attractive, Michael C. Hall, or more specifically Dexter, I guess. But that being said, I thought when he was on the table that it really showed, getting the acupuncture, that it really did show his age. Now, I don't know if that's just something natural with him aging as a normal human, or if they deliberately had him lose weight or something. He just looked more thin and frail to me because Dexter was always so fit. I'm thinking that maybe that was intentional. I mean, he did just come out of a coma. And it makes me wonder if, as he gets healthier and back into the swing, he's going to buff himself up a little bit. Secondly, about Angel. Okay, so first of all, I can't stand the thought of an ending that doesn't involve either Dexter going on to continue doing what he does via the code, or Dexter finally recognizing and realizing that he is a human with feelings and having a life with his son. But the idea of him being killed or arrested would be awful to me, but having it done by Angel would be disgusting. Only second to the idea of Dexter killing Angel, which I can't imagine there's any fan that would not absolutely be infuriated by that. So hopefully the writers know better. I don't like the idea of oh my God, I'm having a mental block, of his son killing him either. I know some people have proposed that. So my personal theory is something along the lines of Angel following Dexter getting involved with this group with Leon Prater. By the way, I love the way they did that, because at first when I was seeing the promos, I was thinking that's so not Dexter that he would be a part of a group like that. So I love that he's doing it, entering the group the way he is, pretending to be someone else. But I predict that Angel is going to get involved in recognizing this group in the process of following Dexter, and that's going to put him in some kind of danger, and that Dexter will wind up saving Angel. Now, whether that makes it so he can then just escape, or that Angel chooses to let him go, whether Angel gets killed in the process, I don't think. I think Dexter will hopefully actually save him, and that maybe he will either escape at that point, or that Angel will choose to let him go, maybe finding out that he didn't kill LaGuerta. I think people sometimes have to remember that, like, I hope that the writers won't try to make us, like, I know once in a while they want to remind us he's not a good guy, but I think the fans should always still love him and care about him, and I don't think it's okay to make him into a monster. We've watched all this time because he's been progressing to more and more of a human being with feelings and emotions, and it would be really upsetting to go the other way. And, yeah, I hope they preserve that.
Thanks, Michelle. I love your emotional plea at the end there. New Blood did take the villain path in the end, and it divided the audience, even though we all know he's a serial killer. But I accept that we've stuck with him all this time in large part because we root for him to ultimately succeed in his quest. And for many of us, would that include vanquishing the Dark Passenger once and for all? And that's a fair point about Michael. Of course, the guy is 20 years older now than when he started this, but it's right to point out Dexter's been in a coma for 10 weeks. His body weight would have naturally dropped. So it would make sense for him, it would make sense for him not to be all buffed up immediately. I love in your voicemail there how you get all coy about sexy Dexy. That was wonderful. That really made me smile. However, they were all thoughts that my wife would echo, so don't worry about it. Your thoughts on Dexter versus Batista. I tend to think that neither of your worst fears will happen. Sorry, that's my eldest sneezing in the background. I don't think either of your worst fears will happen. I don't see Angel killing Dexter, and I don't see any scenario where Dexter kills Angel, or if he did, it would be another watershed moment. That's a phrase I'm liking at the moment, isn't it? And Dexter would be properly doomed. I just don't see them going there, though. Good shout, predicting Dexter will save Batista. We've got other listener feedback suggesting the same thing. Thank you. All right, Kelly in Florida says, I was totally wrong about Dexter getting found out at the serial killer party. After he killed Lowell, I don't know what to think now. Will Dexter bring in the blood slide to the next gathering as he was instructed to bring something as a show of good faith for the money he received? Would Prater and the others accept him as the Bay Harbor Butcher, even though he's a killer of killers? I think Prater may, since he gets off on this sort of thing, and would make an exception, since Dexter is the ultimate serial killer. But it will not sit well with the others, aside from Mia, who seems to have her own code. I was bummed for Dexter when he saw his slides, Trinity's hammer and the table where he killed Brian, as I wanted him to take credit for these kills. Kind of weird, I know. Maybe Dexter tells Prater the details of the kills, and that's what gets him out of trouble. Another theory is that Prater already knows who Dexter is, as he had Charlie follow him since he is the new guy. She sees him eating the chili dogs that he got after the dinner party, and subsequently sees him kill Lowell, which confirms he is not Red. One thing I had to laugh at was Dexter's comment about ponytail guy. It cracked me up. Can't wait to see the dialogue between Dexter and Harrison next week. Thanks, Kelly. That's an interesting prediction. Will Dexter double down and think that although they lose Lowell, the group gains a hugely prolific new killer to their ranks? My only nag is whether Prater would permit any exceptions to his rules. But I don't know, Dexter's got something to trade, hasn't he? And with the Bay Harbor Butcher, that could be the mother lode, couldn't it? And Prater might well think it's worth it to gain all this knowledge, all this insight from the Bay Harbor Butcher firsthand, and maybe he thinks it's worth bending some rules and worth the cost of Lowell. However, I think you're right. If Prater did bend the rules for Dexter, the others won't like it. But will Mia be more accepting because she also targets bad guys? Interesting. Mamoon has emailed. He doesn't think Charlie likes the trophies or serial killers, but wonders what her history is with Prater for her to support him. He also thinks Lady Vengeance might betray Dexter, and notes that the New York Ripper came up multiple times and thinks this will be a big reveal later, maybe a big bad for the season. Thanks, Mamoon. Will Mia betray Dexter? Perhaps, but he wouldn't fit her profile, would he? So I'm, at this point, doubting it, but who knows? The Ripper, like you, I really think he's going to come into play at some point. Will he kill Elsa? Will he be something that comes back in the finale and leads into season 2? Given that Wallace talked about him too, I think there's much more to this than just another exhibit in Prater's collection.
Hey Gareth, Nick here to deliver a little bit of feedback about episode 4 of Dexter Resurrection, Call Me Red, which is not only an amazing episode, but if I'm not mistaken, the longest in the show's history. So I'm working on my own review right now, and I have so many thoughts and theories and stuff in my head now that I'm going to try and keep this rather brief, and I'm going to defer to everybody else to kind of dig into the minutia. I guess the few things I wanted to point out was this episode really kind of elevated the whole idea of Dexter having this new lease on life, which I think it continues to be a really interesting idea that they're exploring. Especially at the beginning, we see him kind of giving a little bit of pushback towards Harry's constant, like, you got to be careful. And just like the way he was brought up by Harry, he's starting to push back against that a little bit because he wants to enjoy what's left of his life. And I think that's something that we as humans can all relate to, and that's really interesting. But in general, I think this whole season so far has been this really brilliantly crafted puzzle. Everything's kind of fitting together really nicely, and seeing how Red was this killer who adopted this moniker that has this weird and hilarious connection to Dexter, to him not having an online presence, which created this really unique opportunity for him to infiltrate this gathering, which leads us to this really incredible moment this week, this vault that he gets to kind of walk through and see, which we all saw coming, I think, to a degree, but seeing how far they took the idea was really, really cool. So crossing real world killers with the fictional Dexter world was a really neat idea, and they leaned into it really, really far. Being able to see things like the clown costume from Original Sin for John Wayne Gacy right next to the Doomsday Killer sword and Trinity's hammer and stuff. It was just really, really, really neat. And also, it was a really nice touch having the blood slides there, and that was just, that was amazing. But this whole sequence, I think, had a lot of really neat Easter eggs and hints at what's to come. This actually happened twice in the episode, but they mentioned the New York City Ripper, which is a killer we haven't heard them talk about in the production or anything like that up until this point. So the fact that they name dropped him twice in this episode makes me think he's going to have a role to play in the story, whether it's this season or next season, I don't know, but they're starting to lay the foundation for something bigger, I think, and that's really, really cool. I loved meeting all of the killers this week. I think Mia is a standout. I really, really like her as a character. I think Dexter's history with femme fatales is obviously questionable, but she's a really good one, and they seem like they're probably setting her up for a spinoff. So far, I'm here for it. I really like her a lot. Lowell becoming the first victim, Neil Patrick Harris becoming the first victim is another thing that I kind of saw coming, but seeing it kind of happen on screen and play out was really, really neat. Which leads me to the kill room scene, which I think was incredible. It was it was a classic, had this classic vibe to it because it the way that Dexter let the space and the environment kind of influence his personality and his movement in the room was really, really classic. The way he spun the chair and slid across the room towards the tattoo table actually reminded me of how my own tattoo artist would kind of move around the space. So to me, it felt really grounded and really playful, and I always love to see that with Dexter. But man, I think the biggest thing here about the scene was seeing him kind of embrace his nickname for the first time before delivering the killing blow. Calling himself the Bay Harbor Butcher was maybe the biggest indicator to me that Dexter has changed pretty dramatically since his brush with death. And just on a broad level, I continue to be really impressed by the way in which they've taken this really controversial ending that a lot of people had a problem with, and they've kind of turned it into something and utilized it to a really effective degree. I think it's awesome. So I'll kind of leave it there. All in all, I'm like I said, I'm working on my own review, and I have so many thoughts and ideas and conflicting opinions. I don't know. It's a really tough one to kind of wrap my head around. But I will say this: I think this episode is an all-timer. It might go down as maybe one of my favorite, if not my favorite episode of the entire series. It was kind of perfect, and I know that's a bit of a spoiler for my review, but Damn, Gareth, what an episode. I'm so excited to see where it goes from here. It also kind of represents the end of kind of like the point of the show that I think I kind of had figured out in my head prior to the premiere. So from here on out, going forward, I feel like it's what happens is kind of anybody's guess. Lots of theories out there, and that's Dexter firing on all cylinders. So I'm so excited. Gareth, pinch me. This is amazing. I look forward to hearing what everybody else thinks. But yeah, until next time, cheers.
Thanks, Nick. Your thoughts about the kill room match my own. I also loved the playful nature shown by Dexter, scooting across the place on the stool. Interesting thought, how something that some saw as a weakness of the New Blood ending, that is Dexter's death, has now been turned into a strength of sorts, and something to build this new season on. Yeah, I like that concept. Good work by the writers.
Gareth, it is I, Des, returning with excitement for this amazing new series, Dissecting Dexter, Dissecting Dexter Resurrection. Whew, that was kind of a mouthful. It's good to be back. Oh, and it's been good to catch up with your show and hear what's up and to theorize. I have been shrieking along with every single episode. I've been enjoying the heck out of every single one with that strong beginning. Every single Angel Batista sighting. I can't believe he let him slip through his fingers again, but he had to. Otherwise, where would this story be? Oh my gosh. And this most recent episode with the dinner for serial killers. One, Dexter is very much getting his flirt on with Lady Vengeance, which weirds me out because she thinks he's Red, the beheader of your car drivers. Don't love that, but do love how they're vibing. They are great together on screen. Her story is very curious what they're alluding to. I wonder how she does it, right? We see her trophies. Meanwhile, for all we know, Dexter got just out of his own noose after their run. Sure, they're vibing, and sure, she headed over to take a shower, but for all we know, that could be the way that she lures people in, right? How does she get them? We don't know, but that's okay, because that's not really what the episode is about. I'm digging it. Love their vibe. The whole serial killer... I'm tripping over my own words in excitement. Serial killer dinner. Oh, where we met the other Gareth, the Gemini killer. Gemini. Why does that sound like a real killer, right? Well, I'm enjoying it. Love everything that's happening with Harrison. His storyline is so strong. And his friendship with Elsa, fascinating. I love how he diverted the detective by confessing that he was homeless, because we saw it in the first episode. He woke up in the hotel, then he went to work, and then, shenanigans ensued. But the telltale heart with the watch moment was so powerful. And there we had Dexter, back and forth for how many episodes, just angsting over how his son shot him. This whole time I'm like, Dexter, you literally told him to. I have to take a sip of water because I am just parched over this. He literally told his son to shoot him, and now he's bitching about it. I can't believe you shot me. Okay, well, I'm glad he finally did reach out, because that moment when Harrison almost crossed over into the precinct. Wow, that was potent, powerful. I'm excited. The show is back with a vengeance. Yep. As you've always said, trust the writers, trust the process. Let's see where this story goes. I'm entertained by their killers. I can't believe that was Neil Patrick Harris who just played Lowell, although I am glad that Dexter put him down, because what a terrifying creep. Oh my God, can we talk about that tattoo? When he showed the tattoo that he was like, I found my next victim, I was like, that's the tattoo? It was a hideous dog. Let me rephrase. All dogs are precious. Love dogs. The tattoo was a hideous reminiscent of dog tattoo. I don't know. I was just like, this is what the woman is paying all these sessions for her beloved animal. But I get it, because that is what he really is collecting with the tattoos, what it means. And what it means was she loved that dog for 15 years to the point where she found an artist to tattoo the dog on her skin. And every time he looks at a tattooed dog skin, he'd feel that love. Except that Dexter got to him first. Thank God for that. Whew, God bless Tattoo Girl, and let this all be a reminder of how easy it is to internet stalk one another based on what we post and share. Well then, that being said, I love the new show. I love the new detective. I keep hearing mixed reviews about Detective Claudette, but I love her. I don't care if people are tired of Sherlock Holmes' brilliance. Like, she has to be next level to keep up with the type of monsters that we are meeting this season. And the fact that she does it all to staying alive while she's working homicide. I love it. I am definitely the audience that they wrote that in for, because I've been eating it up with a spoon. Plus, you know, she's another autistic coded character. She just is. It's not a bad, wrong thing. It's simply a set of behaviors and characteristics, and she's got them, baby. It also makes her exemplary at her job, to the point where her other detective is sort of set dressing. Oh my God, and Angel, when he had that conversation with Harrison, when he called out what happened to La Huerta, to Deb, to Rita, when he said, your mother. Oh my God. This season is literally just spoon feeding everything we wanted from New Blood and more. Okay. On that note, I'll always have more commentary, but I'll just have to call in at another time. I hope this message finds you in time. And hey, Gareth, it's good to be back. Des out. Bye.
Des, it's great to hear from you again. Were you in your own mobile studio there? I kind of recognise the acoustics, and I speak from experience, but you're going to prove me wrong now and say, no, I was in the shed or something. We've not spoken, have we, since New Blood, and it's good to have you back with your own inimitable style. So, yeah, we don't know much about Mia's MO, really, do we? We know she goes after predators, people who prey on the vulnerable. Dexter doesn't fit, so I think he's okay, but maybe we'll get to see how she operates, how she lures in her victims, or how she gets close to her victims. Lowell and his choice of victim and her choice of tattoo, or should I say his choice of victim based on her choice of tattoo. Hey, maybe he has a thing for dogs. Perhaps it looks like a pet he had as a kid. I guess we'll never know now. You know how I like to understand people's motivations on this show and where someone's darkness comes from, but maybe Lowell will forever remain a mystery. All right, thanks again. Lots still to get to. Sorry this is a long podcast this week. I split it last time, but what are you going to do? Here you go. Have a bumper edition. Tyden has been in touch. He loved the episode, but noted the time we spent with Ryan's watch. Tyden wants Harrison to get rid of that as soon as possible before Claudette finds it. Tyden has two theories. He says, I think Lady Vengeance will take the fall for the Ryan Foster kill. Her MO is taking out people that sexually assault. Nobody fits that better than Slimy Ryan, that kept slipping through the cracks. I'm not sure as to how or when, but I do think Dexter will frame that kill on her. This will be hard to do with the NYPD having the information from Angel now. I think there's a world where we can see Angel make it out alive and stop hunting Dexter. I could see Angel getting attacked by one of Prater's killers, Gemini perhaps, since they said he has a bigger role. And when attacked, Dexter saves him. Being saved by Dexter, he feels obligated to drop the pursuit. The only thing that worries me about this theory is Angel now bringing in the NYPD. Thanks, Tyden. The theory is great and really seemed possible except for one thing. I'm referring to your theory about Mia. Ryan definitely fits the profile for Mia's victims, no doubt about that. The spanner in the works is the fact that Ryan was found dismembered. Having him in 9 pieces matches the butcher's MO, not Mia's. Maybe there's still a way it could happen, especially if Dexter got her to kill someone else and chop him into 9 pieces. Switch things up, maybe collaborate, who knows. Your other theory is good too. I brought it up with Scott. I could well see Angel tailing Dexter and stumbling upon Prater's group, getting too close and ending up a target. Dexter saves him, Batista now owes him and drops the pursuit. But like I said to Scott, I'd love for them to have a proper extended sit-down first. Lay all the cards on the table.
Well, look who it is. Mr. I run a beloved podcast, and I've seen the first 4 episodes of Dexter Resurrection early. Well, guess what, Buster? Your free ride is over. Now you're just like us. So get off your high horse and start dissecting some Dexter with us, peons! Undoubtedly, Dexter has turned into complete schlock now, for better and for worse. This was made aware to us well beforehand with all the trailers and press and stuff, so you're not going to hear me complaining. I'm just certain that it cannot be denied that Dexter's storyline we find ourselves in now, the one with the group of sociable and mostly sexy and not at all schizophrenic serial killers and they're all texting buddies, that storyline would be more at home alongside something like NCIS and Criminal Minds, as opposed to like the grounded prestige dramas of the early part of this century, like Sopranos or The Wire, those things that Dexter started out being. I really liked the deviousness of Batista this episode. I liked the way he tried to corner Harrison into admitting something about his father, purposely omitting that Dexter was still alive. You know, his mission is so righteous that we can't really blame him, even when he is kind of mildly framed as the bad guy in this scenario. I mean, not only is he kind of like chasing our heroes, but he's even like dressed in black. Like he looks, you know, he kind of filmically, he looks like the bad guy. You know, he's giving me Hank Schrader from Breaking Bad.
Hey-o, pool party.
I'm certain that the New York Ripper is going to come back into play somehow. I mean, there's a chance we've already seen him. Or her, Gareth. It could be a girl. Prater mentioned that the Ripper has never been caught, and it was stated that Detective Bee Gees had some kind of unhealthy obsession with the killer beforehand. I mean, I'll definitely be keeping an eye out if this storyline reemerges later, and hopefully it doesn't disappear like the shady billionaire from New Blood. Ooh, speaking of which, what a great opportunity for that dude to come back. You could tie him into the shady billionaire we have in this series. Maybe they're buddies, or, you know, I don't know. Get on it, Scott. Going forward, I'm curious how they're going to write Harrison for giving his father. I mean, is he going to just completely forgive Dexter for killing Logan? Because I feel like that was definitely the biggest offense to Harrison. That was like the major schism between the two of them. And Harrison knows exactly how it went down. He doesn't buy this bogus Angela police report. If Harrison reconciles so easily with his father only because he needs Dexter's help, then I don't think that's going to make Harrison look very good. I'm also curious, as everyone else, about Lady Vengeance. On the surface, it seems like she's got all the best qualities of Lila and Hannah. But she's definitely a little hypocrite. You know, she kills sexual predators out of a sense of justice. But then she's chumming it up and being gossipy with Cam from Modern Family. You know, and he apparently murders innocent women for fun. It feels like there's an avenue for Lady Vengeance to take the fall for Harrison's killing somehow. You know, Harrison still has that watch and she collects those sort of things. And that guy is a known sex pervert. Though I would be surprised if Dexter threw her under the bus so easily and so quickly into Kristen Ritter's tenure on the show. I suppose only time will tell. Last bit, you know me, Gareth. You know I love nothing more than being pedantic. Dexter, in this episode, makes the comment, I've ran after serial killers, and I've ran from serial killers, but I've never ran with a serial killer. Bitch, yes you have. In season 5, you ran with Jordan Chase on 2 separate occasions. Quit lying to me, Dexter.
Yeah, my unfair advantage is now over. Thanks, Travis. Hey, you can't blame me, though. Having 4 episodes right under my nose. All right, the New York Ripper. Yeah, I talked about this with Scott, and there was too much mention for it to be a simple Lucio Fulci reference. But I love to think that they're planting seeds for stuff coming later, possibly much later. Regarding Harrison, obviously it remains to be seen how he moves on from Logan. That killing of an innocent was certainly a tipping point for him against his dad. I suspect his immediate reaction might be one of relief because, regardless of why, the thought that you murdered your dad would weigh very heavily, and we've seen Harrison under that weight, haunted by the memory. This should put a stop to those nightmares, hopefully. Where they go from there, though, I don't know. The death of Logan is still a thing for him. Scott alluded to some interesting conversations between them, so perhaps it all gets addressed in the next episode. It's been a while since I've seen the Jordan Chase season, and I have long forgotten him running with him, but I believe you. Although it's funny he gets mentioned twice in the feedback this week, what with the clock ticking, tick, tick, tick. Thanks, Travis. Will from Georgia has been in touch, who says he absolutely loved episode 4. And I'm quoting now, one of my all-time favourites since season 4. My question was, were you surprised Leon didn't have a bigger shrine for the Bay Harbour Butcher? I know the slides were on a table in the middle of the room, but I fully expected much more from that scene compared to the rest of those in the room. Please let me know your thoughts. Thanks, Will. I really appreciate you reaching out. I suppose the Butcher could have had more of a display, but perhaps the slides were all Prater could get his hands on. There have certainly been other notorious killers who arguably deserve prominent display too. I think dramatically for the show, they needed Dexter's sole focus to be on reconnecting with his friends, the slides, so it was those that needed to be featured. New Patreon, John Campbell, has written and says, what an episode. Don't know if it's just the high I'm feeling with the show at the minute, but this is right up there as one of my favourite episodes of the entire show. Fairly confident Prater is letting on more than he knows about Dexter. I can't wait until they have the conversation about who Dexter really is. Also, did you get the impression they were trying to mirror previous killers with the new characters? Rapunzel, the big merry family man with a dark secret. Trinity. Lady Vengeance, taking down predators due to a previous experience. Lumen. Gareth, mysterious gothic character. Lila. Alright, this one might be a bit of a stretch. Thanks, John. You make an interesting point, and I think someone else has already brought this possibility up. Does Prater already know who Dexter really is? Honestly, my gut feeling, and just reading what's been presented so far in the show, my feeling is probably not. I didn't get any hint of suspicion from him, but that could all change over the next couple of episodes. I think we've certainly got interesting times ahead. That's probably an understatement.
Hi Gareth, Chris here with my feedback for Dexter Resurrection episode 4. I'm Dexter Morgan, the Bay Harbour Butcher. What a line that was, sensational. I don't believe I've ever heard him refer to himself as that before. I could be wrong, but I thought it was great. The look on Neil Patrick Harris's face before he died was excellent as well. I am glad he only lasted the episode though. I think I said before, I was worried about so many familiar faces in the one episode, and for me his was the most parody-esque of all the different actors that appeared. So one episode and done for him suited me quite well. Tonight really was the night for an extra long episode, and I'm totally here for that. I really enjoyed the longer runtime of this episode. It really let the show breathe and introduce lots of new things. So more of that, please. Leon Prater's museum was something I wasn't really expecting. It was a lovely piece of nostalgia, woven in with a really chilling twist, and I thought it was excellent. The callbacks to the Trinity Killer and the Ice Truck Killer, and even Dexter as the Bay Harbour Butcher was really well done. I did have a small complaint during Original Sin, where I felt that they were putting real life killers on a pedestal, and that for me counteracts us as an audience wanting to root for Dexter. So I'd really hit my head against that again. But just think about John Wayne Gacy's clown outfit and the Dahmer fridge and stuff, and I get that it's cool for a horror fan and stuff, but for me it took me out of it, and I don't like it. But I think that's maybe just a personal thing. All the other new actors that were introduced were great. I'm really interested to see where we go with them. I think they kept David Dastmalchian's character really quite vague on purpose, and I'm sure we'll learn more about him later on, which will be interesting as well. I think he's a really fascinating actor. I love him. So I'm really looking forward to where that goes. Mia killing her victims with her own version of the code was interesting to me. I did have a thought that maybe if she's killing sexual predators, that could possibly intertwine with the Harrison story. He killed a sexual predator. Could those storylines intersect? We will see. Only a couple more points. Batista, loved him. I think David Zayas is doing a great job. It's a new hardened Angel Batista who's on one hell of a final mission. Him bringing up LaGuerta, Rita and even Deb, for me is confirmation that he's never going to let this go. I had seen online that maybe he'll find out about Dexter properly and they'll come to some sort of understanding. That ain't happening. It just is not going to happen. He's right, Dexter's responsible for many innocent deaths. So we're in for one hell of a face-off soon, I think. I'm really enjoying the humour of this season, a return to form. I particularly enjoyed Harry slapping Dexter's head. I thought that was great. I'm not really sure I understand the dynamic between Dexter and Harry. I know in previous seasons it's been his subconscious and almost him talking to himself, but in this new show it does seem like Harry's his own character in a way. I'm not saying I don't like it, I actually do like it, but maybe somebody with a bit more nuance and intelligence can explain that to me a wee bit better. Final point, the New York Ripper was mentioned twice, I believe, so that's a lot of foreshadowing there. I had a thought, have we already met him or her? Is that a future big bad? I think we will find out sooner rather than later. Brilliant episode, really another one. I think that's 4 for 4 and they just seem to be getting better and better. So roll on episode 5. Looking forward to hearing what you think and all the rest of the Dissecting Dexter listeners. Thanks, Gareth.
Thanks, Chris. It's interesting drawing a line between fictional killers in the show and potentially glorifying real-life killers. For me, personally, I'm okay because those who are doing the admiration are potentially bad guys. Prater is up to no good. We're meant to find his obsession weird. And Dexter himself, all of these other killers are potential victims for him. Although, thinking back to Original Sin, we did see how young Dexter admired real-life murderers. They were like his rock stars. So I understand your perspective there. And I think I remember you bringing this quandary for us as viewers. I think I remember you bringing it up during Original Sin. It's interesting. And again, it underlines this grey moral area that we sit in as viewers and enjoying the show and what goes on in it. Regarding Harry, physical interaction like that is new, isn't it? The slap on the back of the head. It's still in Dexter's mind, of course, so I just thought it was funny. The slap sound was particularly satisfying. I enjoyed that. But Scott talked about the new dynamic with Harry and Dexter, so hopefully you enjoyed that part of our conversation. And the New York Ripper again. I've not addressed the question here of whether it is someone that we've already met. Big question. But given who we've met so far, I'd say no. I don't think it is someone we've met. But then the best killers are good at hiding in plain sight, aren't they? We've met several characters so far, but has anyone done anything that's sufficiently off or fishy to make you suspicious? All right, extra long episode this week, you lucky people. I could have split it, but heck, I assume you'll listen anyway and can always pause it and come back later. It's all good, honest Dexter fun, right? My thanks to everybody who got in touch this week. And, I'm forgetting someone on Twitter. I haven't read his theories. I've not got it in front of me. That's bad prep, isn't it? I do apologise. Maury, that was your name. If you're listening, mate, thank you. We had a nice bit of interaction, you, me, and Chris from Scotland, I think it was. Yes, Chris. Just a bit of chit-chat about theories around the show and the episode. Apologies, I haven't read your messages out on the podcast. My sincere thanks, of course, to Mr. Scott Reynolds for giving up his valuable time to talk to us about the episode. And, of course, confirming what I had quietly hoped about the character of Gareth, but my own personal modesty prevented me from saying it out loud. But I hoped it was true, but to hear it from Scott himself, well, you heard me exclaim at the time. I did play the clip at the beginning of this podcast, and I had a big silly grin on my face, and I completely fanboyed out. It's an honour. It is humbling. You know, I'm a modest person, but to have a character named after me is just bloody brilliant. There's that silly smile I'm wearing now. It's fantastic. And I can only thank Scott for doing that. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. So, yeah, what an episode we got this week. And that was the last of the screeners, as Travis was keen to point out. That was the last of them that I got sent before the season. So we're all on the same page now. We're all at the same point. We all know the same. And I'm really excited for whatever comes next. I've been reliably informed, and I think, did I bring this up in my conversation with Scott? I've been reliably informed that what's coming will blow our socks off, which sounds fantastic. And we'll be here to dissect it together, won't we? Thanks for listening, everybody, and thanks to the Patreon supporters. I might pop a new Shortcut podcast on there in a few days. But join me next week for episode 5, won't you? Until then, take care. Bye for now.